How you
And
doing, Joe? All right. How about you, sir? I'm hanging in there.
and he just wanted to kind of, hear what you had to say and stuff like that too. But you
I
had.
really just want to. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Joe.
I want to know how you go about doing your business of finding a lost person. I mean, where are you out of?
My company, my business, which is only me, is based out of Biloxi, Mississippi, which is down on the Gulf Coast. It's like the Atlantic City of Mississippi. And that's a great question. And I wish I had a straight answer for you, because no two missing persons cases are the same. They're like snowflakes. I'll give you a couple quick examples, and then I'll tell you how I'm going to do your case, or how I think I am. First of all, I never have a theory. So I don't think he's here and I've got to fit that into this. What I do is I collect all the facts, and I have special ways of figuring different things out, and trying to figure out what happened here based on the best percentages. That's the best way to do this. Like, I had to go to college to become a private investigator. I just didn't watch something on TV. So I have no law enforcement or military background. My background is professional football. So I'm more of a repo man. Like, I don't do cheating housewives cases or car insurance claims as a private investigator or bodyguard work. All I do is missing persons. And so that's what I started in about 7 years ago. And in 7 years, I've never not found my person or thing. Sometimes a thing goes missing, like a Super Bowl ring or a classic car. So every case I've ever had is different. As far as how I do my business, I have a special formula that works for me. And what I mean by that is, number one, I don't charge an hourly wage. Most private investigators will charge you by the hour like an attorney. So your son probably is in Orange County, Southern California, where I played my freshman year of college football, and my brother lives. So I know that area. I know Orange County, I know San Diego, I know Southern California. So I know the demographic down there. It's a hell of a lot different than Texas or Missouri, which I've lived in Texas, and I lived in Oklahoma. I lived in Enid, Oklahoma, and I lived in Lufkin, Texas. So I know these parts of the country. And so long story short, I only handle one case at a time. So a police officer might have 300 cases on their desk: rapes, murders, domestic violence, speeding tickets, whatever. I got one case when I take it, which would be your son. And because I don't charge an hourly wage, I think the only reason that works for me is because most private investigators, let's say in Los Angeles, if you were going to do this in LA, and I encourage anybody to call anybody that they want, you'll get private investigators that'll do this. But most private investigators, when it comes to missing people, are better off, like if you called me and said, hey, listen, I want to find my ex-girlfriend from my junior year of high school. Can you find her for me? They're better at that. This is a time-consuming, full-time business to find a missing person. So there's not too many guys that would do it, or girls. If you can find somebody in Southern California, in LA, it's going to be about a $10,000 down payment, and they'll charge you $150 to $200 an hour. That means every time you call them, every time they follow a lead, every time they go to the hospital that he might have been in, or they contact the police, they're running a clock. Their goal is to keep running that clock and keep the money coming in. I want to get this shit done as quick as possible and over as fast as possible. And that's why I charge a one-time fee up front. So that's the difference between what I do and other private investigators do. So you're getting a PI that only does missing persons. It's like going to a dentist who only does root canals. You get a private investigator who you're not on the clock with. Once you pay me, I got to work this shit until it's done. That means entirely over with. I'm not for everybody. There's a lot of people who don't like the way I talk. They don't like my background. They don't like how I do stuff. The bottom line is my numbers and my credibility for finding missing persons, no matter how I've done it, is incredible. And you can Google my phone number or look me up, and you'll see me on Good Morning America, Howard Stern, Fox, everything. I've done them all. And the reason that I do this way is because I think it's the only way to find. So if I had a missing girl in Oklahoma and a missing boy in Georgia and then your son, and I'm working all three cases at the same time, how do I prioritize that? So that's why I charge one lump sum fee up ahead. How I got this information is there's a bunch of media outlets that send me stories continuously. And your son's popped up. So I've done these cases before. The only type of case that was similar to your son's that I did was out of Texas, and I think I told, this is your wife or your ex-wife? His mom. We'll just say his mom. Okay.
Yeah,
Ex-wife. Okay, his mom. Okay, so there was a woman that called me in Texas years ago, and she was an oil attorney. And her son had gotten into a little bit of shit. They sent him to a facility. He was on probation, but the facility was in the state. So I think they were like in Lubbock, Texas, and they sent him to a facility like in Katy, which I think is outside of Houston.
Yeah.
And he disappeared, walked out of the facility. He needed to complete the facility's situation in order to get off of probation. It was part of his, it's kind of similar to what you're doing, except this guy's about 30, 35 years old. And his parents were multimillionaires. But he had warrants out for his arrest, and he was out on bond. Disappeared. They didn't find him for 8 months. So the family hired me, and what I did was I found out that he had a gift card. And then I'm done talking, just so you understand how intricate these things are, and there's always an aha moment. There's one little thing your son did that's going to lead me to him. And what happened was he had a gift card. We found out that he'd used the gift card, and I found out the 3 locations he used the gift card, and the final place he used it was in Utah. Well, I looked at the surrounding area in Utah where he got off the Greyhound, and I noticed that there was a shelter there, a facility, a rehab center. And I called the rehab center, but they couldn't tell us he's there. Your son moved from a rehab center in San Diego to a rehab center in Colorado. They don't have to tell you, even if he's a missing person.
It was the Desert Springs, hot Desert Springs in California.
It was all California, but yeah.
Right, but
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, let's say he moved to a different one and didn't tell you, and he's in Indiana. If he's a national missing person, they don't have to tell you that he's there. That's how, like, celebrities go into rehab, and they're like, well, where did they go? And the rehab center doesn't come out and say, Britney Spears is over here in Indiana. It doesn't work that way. He could be a lot of places that even if he's a national missing person or he has a warrant out for his arrest, whatever the case, they wouldn't tell you. So you have to know all that. So what I did was I called the rehab facility there, and some moron answered the phone. And I says, is he here? And he says, well, we can't confirm nor deny if he's there because of HIPAA laws. Well, if he wasn't there, they can tell me he isn't there, and they're not violating his rules because he's not there. So I had a feeling he was there. And I bribed the guy on the phone and sent him $500 to take a picture of him in there. Well, when he did that, I showed it to his mom, and we knew he was there. So I called the facility up, and I says, I want to talk to that kid immediately. If you don't, I'm going to tell the bail bondsman he's there. They're going to kick in the goddamn door, and they're going to grab this kid out of your facility. And then within 10 minutes, he called his mom. I've never had another case like that since. He was in Utah, and he went missing from Lubbock, Texas. So there's no 2 cases that are the same. And I have a feeling this is going to be like the other ones. This is going to be a little bit different. Although I have some sort of a theory, I don't pinch myself into that theory. And that's kind of where we start.
All righty. The thing is, you're so far away. I mean, how to, you know what I mean?
Last case I had was out of Detroit, Michigan. I've never been to the state.
Really?
It just depends. Yeah.
It just don't seem like that's enough money to do travel and expenses or anything.
I'm not going out there. I got people out there. I don't have to go out there. Here's the problem you're going to run into. And I have some questions first. So right now, let's say I found him, and he's in Sacramento, California. And I got him on the phone. He says, tell my parents I don't want to talk to him. I'm not coming home. But we know he's alive. We can't make him come home, right? He doesn't have a warrant out for his arrest, correct?
Yeah, well, he's going to.
Well, but as of right now...
no, really, that's all I want to know is that he's alive.
Yeah.
Okay, so why do I have to be in... I can't stuff him in the trunk of a car and bring him back to you.
No.
So my point is... So this is a 3-step process. Number 1, we need what's called proof of life. You want to hear his voice on the phone or see a picture of him that he's okay, either in a homeless encampment or that he's at a facility, he might be in jail somewhere, whatever the case is, anything but the ultimate worst case scenario, which I don't even want to tell you what that is, you need to hear that he's alive. Yes. After that, that's a good problem to have. Then we work on step 2. You can't hit a home run with the biggest cut you could take. You just got to make sure you get on base. So the first thing we're going to do here is what none of you guys know, which is to find out that he's alive and then where he's at, and then how do we get him back from there. I surmise that your son probably met somebody of his ilk in that facility, and he's hanging out with him. And he's out there in Southern California, and whatever he's able to do now, is he selling drugs to make money? You know, is he running prostitutes? Did he get a job at a grocery store? I don't know. But we got to find out, because he's been gone how many days now?
24.
24 days. Guys, it seems like an eternity for parents. It's not that long. It's really not. The average case takes me about 31 days.
Oh, wow.
And he's a grown man. He's not 12. If he was 12 or 14 years old, we'd have a problem. The problem that you have here is, number one, there's no crime. He's able to move around the country and do whatever he wants. It's not a crime. There's no crime here, so the cops really aren't going to be much of a help to you, and they can only do a geographic area. It can go everywhere. So you have a good question, and I see what you mean, but you're thinking of the type of private investigator that you're probably used to seeing on television. I don't have to kick in doors or do any of that shit at this point. Now, let's say I find him in Seattle or Florida or Atlanta, and I say, hey, look, Mom and Dad, he's here. I found him. I got him on the phone. I recorded his voice, whatever it is. I got proof that he's alive. If you want me to go down and wink, wink, make sure he comes home to you, I can do that too. But your first thing that you need to do is you need to find out where he is and make sure that he's alive. And it could be as simple as three things. He's with some people, and he's just deciding to, live that little bit of lifestyle and not come back. Number two, he's deceased, which if he is, with all due respect, we're going to find him pretty quick. And number three, he could be in either a facility. Now, what I mean by that is either a jail or whatever. We just don't know that yet. So you have three options. Do nothing and let the cops deal with it. Let the sugar run out of the Kool-Aid, which is what I call it, which is he'll eventually get a hold of you, like maybe a year from now, maybe 6 months from now.
That's kind of where I stand, but I've got a wife and but.
Right. Well, I mean, if you can sleep, and listen, this is a family decision. I'm not trying to press you in. I'm giving you options. I'm not trying to talk myself out of business.
I understand exactly what you're saying and where you're getting.
So, or you can go ahead and hire somebody that works on this full time. I mean, I could work on this for the next 2 weeks, and he gives you a call and says, Mom, I want to come home. I mean, that would be ideal. Those are all good problems to have. Bottom line is you need somebody to work on this full time. Let me put it to you this way. For what you're going to pay me, go ahead out there and try this yourself. You'll miss work. You'll have to stay in hotels. You'll have to eat. You'll have to try. And I'm professionally trained to do this with an impeccable track record of 7 years. So you can do it yourself, but you could also do your own plumbing. You know what I mean? And I don't know how that'll work out. Some people can do this and they find their kid, but it might cost you $5,000 to do it on your own. I don't know what your lifestyles are, but I'm not going to talk you into doing something just to get your money, because this isn't a job like a plumber or something. I mean, this is your loved one. This is your child. So it is what it is. If there was somebody in the LA area that I thought would, there's people in Southern California that could do this that are very, very good. Very, very good. You want to spend 10 or 15 grand? Then that's what they are. And they're money people. I'm going to do this because I want to get it over with and because it's just what I do and I think I can help you. If I didn't think I could help you and I hadn't been down this road, I probably wouldn't take the case. I don't take cases with people that leave the country, and I don't take cases with little kids, 4-year-olds that went missing in 1983. They'd be my age now. I don't do those cases. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, see, he's ghosted his dad before for a while, like for maybe a year or so, but he's never not contacted me like every 3 to 4 days.
When he ghosted Dad, and listen, I know that this is personal questions, but it helps me. Hey, Dad, he ghosts you, but he keeps in contact with Mom. How could he ghost Dad and Mom not tell Dad where he's at? You didn't tell him where your son was either?
He knew where he was.
I knew was. He just. I knew where he was and everything. He just
didn't communicate with you.
He was scared. He was scared. I'm
an asshole. That's all there is to it. I'm an asshole, and I got rules, and if you don't follow them, I'm going to be that way. But
well, that's actually a good thing for me to know, and I'm going to tell you why. If he wasn't scared to call you guys or come home, we'd have a problem. The fact that he might have a dad that he's a little terrified of is probably a good thing, because that gives him motivation not to come back. I'm thinking that it's the police or warrants. And listen, I don't know, but let's look at this the way that it is, right? And Mom, I told you this earlier. If you would have sent him to rehab in Indianapolis or in Macon, Georgia, or in Kansas City, this probably would not be the issue. But you sent him to a rehab facility in one of the most beautiful places in the country, and I could think of a hell of a lot worse places to be. I might not want to come home either. And now he's just afraid to tell you guys that he's doing it on his own in Southern California. I mean, people go out there to be in the movie industry, and they're not that successful. He's already there, so he got a free ride out there, and he might be okay. He's just scared to call dad. That's a pretty good problem to have, as opposed to, he's hooked on heroin and across the border. I don't know.
Well, he is
he's
using
hooked
meth.
on drugs.
Yeah.
What's the drug?
Definitely.
Meth.
It's meth. Because when he got out, I was telling him to go to a bus station and I'd get him a bus ticket.
So, Dad, when he got out, he called you.
Yeah, I talked to him for 3 days after he got out. He didn't even get out. He quit.
Okay, and that was my question. So when he quit and he called you, where did he call you from?
You had a
He called me from a
sheet.
bus stop, not a station.
No, but his cell phone?
Yes, his cell phone. And
Where's the cell phone at now?
It's shut off. I had Live 360 on it, and it shut off in a certain over there by a
Tent City on
homeless
Sports
camp,
Arena.
there in San Francisco.
It's never
It got
been
shut
turned
off?
back.
Diego.
No,
He shut it off.
no, the battery ran down. We saw it on Live 360 run down and never to be turned on again.
Never to be turned on, or he didn't charge it?
He did not charge it. It has not been turned on under my account since it went dead that time. He charged it a couple times prior to that.
Okay, so he had a charger.
Yes.
Yeah, he had a charger. He was just trying to find a place on the streets to charge the damn thing.
When he called you and you said, what was his options at that point? Did you say, he called you, so he must have been weighing his options. And what were those options? Did you give him tough love? Like, if you come back here, you're going to a facility here. Or were you like, just get home, we'll figure it out? How did that conversation go?
I told him that to go to a bus station. I said, things are going to be the same if you continue doing what you're doing.
We told him that he's not going to have family support back home if he's using. And but if he wanted to come back to Texas, that he needed to get a hold of his dad and get that bus ticket and get on the bus. I told him to get his mask and make sure he had a mask for the bus. And we did give him some tough love, but we wanted him to stay out in California and go back to the treatment. And we thought he was going to stay out there for like a year, and we were excited for him to stay out there. So if he decided to stay out there, why hasn't he called?
Last thing I told him, he's like, I want to come home, but I don't know. And I was like, well, good luck to you, man. And I said, what you need to do is you need to call Keith, which is the guy that was over this rehab, and said that you need to get a hold of him and try to get back in. You're doing good. But if you're staying there, you're staying there. And we talked about it. He wanted to stay there. He didn't want to come home.
Why did he leave the facility?
Because he got caught with meth again, and he don't like authority.
How do you get caught with meth in a facility? Was this like a 24-hour-a-day stay at the facility, or was this like an outpatient thing?
It was an
where was
outpatient.
he living?
It was an outpatient one. He was living in a house with addicts that recovered. He did the inpatient one for 30 days down in Hot Springs, and then went back to this outpatient one. So he had some freedom.
Yeah.
What's interesting is Dad is the asshole. Mom seems like the nice person, but when he got out, he called Dad. That's interesting to me.
He texted both of us. He called me too. He called me on the 27th. He called my dad. And that's another thing. Like, he can ditch me and his dad. Like, he's never ditched me before, but he could do that. But he would never do it to my dad. Never. My dad's lost a daughter before. He is very sensitive. He knows. And my dad is devastated over this, thinks he's dead. And it's not like Tabor not to call my dad. We were all for him staying out there.
He's not dead. If I had to put a pie graph on this, I'd say he had an 85 to 90% chance he's alive. First of all, if he was in Montana or northern New York or something where the weather is just egregious, it's 60 degrees in LA today. He's on the beach, if anything. The drugs is more of an issue. If there's one place that you can survive homeless in tents and vans and with people, it's Southern California. It just is.
Yeah.
And so he's, not to put a good spin on this, but nobody did anything wrong here. Nothing that you folks did or said created the situation that's here.
Yeah.
He had an opportunity in a great part of the country. It's just the great part of the country had a little bit of a a temptation that, it wasn't enough of a prison. But, there's no right or wrong thing. So this isn't your fault. The problem you're going to have, and this is, before I take any money from you guys or anything, is I'm going to find him. But if he says, "Hey, go fucking pound sand, I'm living with Tony and Stacy, and I ain't coming home," what are you going to do?
That's fine. We will be forever grateful to know he's alive.
No, he's not dead.
Okay. And the guy that runs the halfway house up there, you gave him a name. What was his name?
Keith, and I've got his number and stuff too, or if you need.
Well, have you guys called Keith and said, "Listen, we trusted and sent our son out there. What the fuck? Where's our kid?"
They don't give him a ride. They don't give him a ride home. He called me before it happened, and I tried calling Tabor and talking him out of it. And that's what Tabor wanted. Like you said, he's a grown man.
Yeah. But none of them there heard that he had a plan, or I met these guys, or I know this girl. Or
they won't tell us. They're not talking. They won't tell us. I've tried to email them.
People in the house won't tell you guys what his plans
were? The director will not tell us. The director is avoiding us at all costs. He did call Joe.
He's not avoiding me. He's talked to me.
How many times?
Avoid Mom?
Well,
I'm not on the insurance.
When Tabor went in there, he only gave consent for me to know where he's at and about his medical shit. And they won't tell her nothing because he never signed for her to do it.
Okay, but if Mom's on the phone with Dad and you guys three-way call him and Mom says, "Hey, where was he going?" They're not going to tell her. But if she says, "Okay, honey, ask them where our son is," and you say, "Hey, where's Tabor going?" they'll tell you, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, they would, but there's no honey there.
Well, you know what I mean. I'm paraphrasing, but you understand where I'm coming from here, because she can ask you to ask them while you're on the phone. You know what I mean? It sounds kind of childish, but my point is that, that's where this starts. The other place that this starts is the cell phone. Mom told me that she has all the numbers. Now I have, what is the last number he called that you do not recognize? Do you have that number in front of you?
I do not. I could look at my phone bill, or did you?
I can look at.
Because I can run the number right now, and if it's listed to a person, I can tell you who owns it, where they live, everything about that.
It's in my photos.
I'm just letting you guys know how this all works, just so that we're all on the same page with this thing. Because I'm not something most people deal with.
There was a 559. 569-7883.
569-7883?
559-569-7883, yes. And then there was several. Do you want all of them?
Hold on. The most recent one, 55.
Screenshot?
Hold on. Let's start this from the beginning. What's the most recent number that he called that you don't recognize? Almost the last number.
I'm gonna have to go to a different photo.
Well, give me the one you just gave me. 559.
Okay, so, and then it's 569-7883.
569. Hold on, 569. Go ahead.
7883. Did you get the area code of 559?
So it's 559-569-7883.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm running that number right now. Let's see what pops up. I'll let you know if it's a McDonald's or if it's a burner phone. There's no possible owner. That's a burner number. So what happens when you call that number?
I've texted all these numbers saying my son is missing, and if you see him, please just have him call home. Only one.
His name is Tabor. Is that how you say Tabor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm calling that number right now. Let's see if it picks up. Hold on.
Oh, they're the ones who. That's Andrews.
Hello. Hey, what's going on, dude? Is Tabor there? This is Mike.
Mike, no, Tabor, I have no idea who you are, and I don't know Tabor's not here.
He's not there? All right, he gave me this number. I've got about 4 numbers for him. I'm not allowed to call you? I'm confused. Who is this?
My name's Colton. I'm from the sober living all the way in San Diego. He was kicked out of here. He was high on meth.
Oh, Christ. Christ. Okay, I got a couple of numbers he called me from right before he almost vanished. Where can I find him? When's the last time? I mean, is he okay?
I have no idea. He's a missing person. His mom texted me a while ago and said that he was a missing person. She filed a report on him, so I have no idea where he's at.
I don't know her. Okay, he got kicked out of the place because he was doing that. Did he say where he was going, or does he have anybody to be with, or do you think he's in jail?
I have no idea. They were trying to get him into a detox, and at last minute he told them to drop him off at the train station, and he's been missing ever since.
Jesus. Okay. Well, if you hear from him, just give him the number. This is Mike. I'm a buddy of his from Texas, okay?
For sure.
All right, my friend. Thanks, Colt.
All right.
Does that sound about the same story you guys got?
That is Ann Deers.
Who is that?
That is the kid that was from rehab that is trying to act like he's helping try to find Tabor. And that's the kid I told you that he told me none of his numbers wouldn't have been in Tabor's phone, and that was him.
Well, he just told me his name was Colt.
He lied. If you call back and you get his voice machine, it'll say this is Ann Deers unless he's changed it because he already got busted.
Ann Deers?
Andars.
That's a first name?
Yes, and his last name is like Edgars.
Ann Deers Edgars?
Yes, it's Ann Deers Edgars.
Edgars.
Well, he sounded moist as hell. I mean, your son's not gay, is he?
Now over that's all, folks.
This is for education purposes only. This video is to bring awareness to the public to be aware of this scam artist that targets the families of missing persons cases and presents himself as a licensed private investigator, and he is absolutely not licensed in any state.
Also, a little context one.
I called to speak to the lady at the Yazoo Sheriff's Department, and she has absolutely no idea who Jim is, never heard of him, never spoken to him. And yes, I have that recorded also. 2. In this call, I was upset because he was working on one other case, Dylan's case.
Now we know he was also actively working for David McAllister for Bowman for Alex, Easterling for Dylan Rounds, and for Adon Clune.
Yep. All right. I'm gonna loop him in now.
Okay.
Jim.
Well, she wants a goldfish egg or something, like something hearty. We got still a lot to do, sweet girl.
Jim?
Ma'am, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Oh, yeah, finally. I thought maybe you butt dialed me. I heard you talking to a child. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's my granddaughter. That was actually my sister speaking with her.
All right, so I get a call this morning, and I knew this was coming. I get a call this morning from a lady with the Yazoo County Sheriff's Department. And there's some grand jury trial today, and she profusely apologizes to me. Her name is Jim. She says, everybody knows who she is. And here's what she tells me. She says, Jim, we've had 3 sheriffs since that case. And I says, we still don't know who this guy was found in a field? She says, no. She says, we have 1 detective that's been here longer than like a year and a half. She says, we had a meeting about this. She says, I says, well, can't you just say, look into a computer? How many people are being found in fields there with a woman that survives? She goes, how long ago was this? And I says, according to Yazoo City and according to the other detectives, it all has gone on within the last decade, let's say 6-7 years, since the Piggly Wiggly. I said, that's what I got to go on, a Piggly Wiggly. I said, this is embarrassing. She says, no, it's embarrassing for us. She goes, you want to know why the sheriff is calling you back but not giving you all the information? I shouldn't say sheriff, the undersheriff. You know why he's called? She goes, first of all, we got a grand jury thing today, so they're all booked. She goes, that's what I'm calling you. Your meeting the other day and the meeting this morning has been pushed back because they're all in a grand jury. She says, and she goes, she considers herself, she says she's a clerk, and she also answers the phones. Her name is Jackie, and I'm going to get her on the phone with you because you need to speak with this woman. And I says, well, I got a family that's worried about their missing loved one, and I want to put this to bed and get these two cases connected. How can you guys, nobody in that office know this story, but people in other offices do. The grandfather of this boy knows. The mother of this boy knows. People in the community know, but the place that he worked, his family's house. She goes, here's the deal. She goes, this is what they don't want to tell you, or they haven't mentioned to you because you call here every day, I'm going to tell you. We just got computers. And I says, what? She goes, we just got computers. None of our paperwork on our former cases, especially back then, are on computer. They're all paperwork. She goes, every day when I come in here and you call, some of us go back there and we start looking through the files to see the case that you're referring to. I says, you're telling me you got file cabinets? She says, yes, sir. And I says, well, how long do you have to look through file cabinets before? So you're looking at everything? You can't narrow it down to a... She goes, no. She goes, we're actively looking through file cabinets for what this is. You got to be patient. I says, we're going on 3 weeks. I says, 3 weeks, what can I do? She says, if the family, the mother, or the grandfather, and I know you guys are busy with regular jobs. He seems to be retired, and I think he would be the best guy for this. Plus, he's got a background. Yeah. If he wants to come down here, we can, we'll go over this with him. He can see that you've called us. He can see that you've talked to us, and he can maybe look through the files and we can figure this out. She goes, but it's in here somewhere. And I says, well, what am I supposed to do? And she says, give me till the end of today. I says, I can't keep doing this. I says, I got to get you to confirm this with the family. I says, you got to tell the family why we're having a tough time figuring this out. And she says, okay. And her name is Jen. Phone number, or she says you guys could come down there in person and see this mess. So I want to get that out first.
Okay. Thank you. What's your phone number?
Her phone number? Okay, hold on. I don't know how many people are on the horn. I don't know.
Just me and Tracy.
Just us.
Okay, hold on. She's a sweet little old lady. She is the nicest woman in the world, and she's put up with me. And she knows who your son is. She's very aware of it. And I says, why are you helping me to this degree? And she said, she's got a real thick accent. So Yazoo City is the guy that I talked to when you guys were on the phone with me. He was the police chief. Okay. Yeah. Okay. He's the guy that told me to go to Yazoo County. And Yazoo County, by the way, they had like some sort of a fire there or something, or some sort of a tornado. Did a tornado rip through there?
Multiple tornadoes, yeah.
Okay, so I says, why don't we call the sheriff that was there when this happened 6 or 7 years ago, and we'll ask him what this kid's name is. And they said a tornado ripped through here, and he never came back to help the town. So he lost the election, and he's basically not welcome back here, and he's a security guard at a mall somewhere. And I said, so we can't even get him on the phone? She goes, no. So Yazoo County Sheriff, and the number to reach who I am is 662. And she says, you guys are, I don't know how far this is from your home, and I don't want to put you, she said, so what I'm probably going to do is I'm in Mississippi currently. I might we talked about this, I think it was Thursday or Friday. It's time for me to come to that county. It's time for me to be there in person, because I can't get these people like other cities to do stuff. And it's a pass-fail business. So she says she'll talk to you guys. She'll go over the issues. She'll explain what I'm trying to explain to you, and go from there.
Okay.
The undersheriff knows who I am as well.
Okay.
She believes there's something to this.
Now? Are you back in Mississippi now?
I'm always in Mississippi, but I go on vacations. I go visit friends. I play football. My base is in Mississippi. I just don't own property in Mississippi. I don't own a home on the beach in Biloxi. I own homes in other places.
You were in Utah or somewhere working on.
No. A family, and we're going to get to this too, because you guys have been talking to a lot of people, and they've been calling me. In fact, they said on a radio show, your guys' name got brought up last night. Now, I've pumped your son's case to a couple of these bullshit radio shows to get the word out there, and it's worked to some degree. A lot of these are YouTube channels, so they're not like real radio stations, and I've been going on a shitload of them lately. Nothing to do with your son, but more to clear up some shit about some people that are trying to put a cease and desist order on me. But I'm sure you already know about that, because I got 4 phone calls from people last night that said they spoke to you guys.
We haven't spoken to anyone, but people have been reaching out to us as well.
Well, how have they reached out to you if you haven't spoke to them?
Facebook.
They wrote to us.
On Facebook.
On Facebook.
They wrote to us.
Yeah.
We haven't called a soul.
No.
Okay, when I said talk to, that's any sort of communication, text, YouTube. I didn't know. So they're contacting probably your son's page.
Yes.
Okay, that's how they found out your information and who you are. Yeah. So, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, now I understand.
How would you know that?
So I went on a radio show last night, and I don't call them radio show.
How would you know that they had been reaching out to us?
I'm going to tell you. So last night I go on to a YouTube show. It's not a radio show. They're YouTube shows. Podcasts. There you go. And I'm in this show, and your name is being brought up in the chat room and with callers on the show. And the callers are in a chat room. Now you can call in, which is what I like on some of these shows. Some of these shows are widely popular, and there's 2 sides. There's a side of these people that absolutely love me, and there's a side that absolutely hates me. It's probably 70-30. But the group of the 30 that hate me have a pretty big voice. I don't really know who these people are that run these shows.
What was the show, Jim? What was
the show? The show, it was called, I might get this wrong, No Thanks Investigates. So I'm on that show, and I can see...
What? No thanks. That's like actually a podcast.
Oh, you wouldn't believe. I got a woman after my ass, and she's probably the one that contacted you. I had a guy show up at my father's business on Friday night. It's all over the internet. Hold on, let me get this for you, because these people can back me on this. Hold on. What is it? No thanks. Oh, here it is. Okay. There's a guy named Doug, and he runs a very popular channel called No Thanks Investigates. Okay? The other show that I was on last night, where they kept saying, and I reference you, I don't bring up your name because it kind of shocked me, is Monkey Mar. Monkieemar. I know you think I'm nuts, but these people exist. Okay?
No, we appreciate. I mean, here's the thing for us.
Well, I'm going to answer your question. So hold on, and then you can, and I won't say another word. So I'm on Monkey, Monkieemar. That's the one where they were in the chat. And these people, we've reached out to the family. They're aware that you're a scam artist. They're aware that you're a felon. They're aware of this. They're aware of that. They're aware of this. And your phone should be ringing by the mother. She's going to call you on air. Pick up. And they're putting your fucking full name in the chat room. And I'm like, okay, well, they can Google her. I've mentioned your son's case. I've begged for the sheriff's department to look into it. These shows are, here's my end game. People have asked me, Jim, why are you doing this? First of all, I'm not going to let anybody silence me, and I don't back down. Whether you like me or you don't, you know exactly what you get when you go into it. I am so red hot on these shows right now that I now have a platform without Medium and without having my own show. So what I did was I said, well, let's try. So the reason I'm keeping this going is for future cases. The only future case I really have is Easterling. So I said, listen, just so that all you people know, there's a case out there that's very important. This is probably about 4 or 5 days ago. And I started mentioning it because we're going to do full hours dedicated. They're going to put your dad on. They're going to put you on. They're going to put the police on. They're going to look into the corruption in that town the same way they're looking into me. I need help in that town. There's no doubt about it. We've talked about this. Even me being there in person in that county is probably not going to rattle any change. Yeah. But the sheriff,
you don't have to sell this to us. We understand.
Well, hold on, but let me tell you what happened, because there must be some legitimacy involved in these people. So these people get on the chat room and they start saying that they've reached out to the family, and the family, Jim, the family's going to fire you. They're not going to talk to you anymore. They know you're a con artist and this and that. The Mississippi, so.
Lost you.
And I'm like, no, I haven't gotten one. So I called you live on air just to see if you would pick up to shut these people up. And you guys did. That's why I called you so late last night. Nobody picked up. So I said, okay, maybe they don't want anything to do with me. The reason I'm doing this is I've got a possibility here to have a massive platform. What's that?
You said that on air that because we didn't pick up. Did you say that on air? Because
no, what I said on air is I showed both my cell phones, and I says to all those people in the chat room telling me that I'm getting phone calls from clients. My phones are right here and they're not ringing. And then they kept going and going and going. We've reached out to them. They're going to fire you. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. So no, I never really mentioned that. That's what's going on in my head. I said, well, if they don't want to talk to me, then they're not going to talk to me. So I called you last night. So there was a break in the show. And I says, you know what? Maybe they can't get a hold of me. I was in a basement. And I says, maybe they can't get an office building. He says, maybe they can't get a hold of me. So I reached out to you. You didn't pick up. And now I'm starting to think, well, I didn't hear from him Thursday night. I didn't hear from him Friday. This thing has been wild. I didn't hear from him tonight. I called him tonight again. Maybe they don't want anything to do with me. So that's what I thought in my head. That's it.
Okay.
Well,
so yeah, I'm sure you're being reached out.
Sure we are, okay? We have had, everything. We're in the middle of a living hell, as you must know.
Why are you in the middle of a living hell other than your son? You talk about that.
Well, that's plenty.
That's what it is.
Plenty.
Oh, okay. Not because of these web trolls.
No, for anybody, isn't
right.
it? Okay, I have a 5-year-old girl here that we're trying to find out what she's going to do for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a lot going on. So when I say we're in a living hell, it's because of this situation.
Not because of the...
No. I could give...
Web trolls making it worse.
I could give...
There's all of that. We've had all of that for weeks.
About me or about other people?
Everything.
All of it.
Okay, this is terrible.
Right, psychics saying they can help and... Right.
All of it. I mean, we've been through hell, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're looking for someone to help us. Now, our bar, we knew what we were getting into when we listened to you and we talked to you. We knew, okay? Because when you do these things, you are having to deal with the devil a little bit. You have to play with the devil a little bit when you go off on this path. And we made a conscious decision to do that.
Gotcha.
But what we don't want is our name being disparaged in any way. And honestly, I always look for the good in people, and I always look for the helpers, and I do believe you're a helper, Jim Terry. I do believe that. Okay? And we had our conversation about the I can't even remember how to say her name now, the media lady that was getting Starbucks and not listening to you while you were talking.
Not listening about your case. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The one you guys put me in contact with. Yeah.
We had a conversation about that, and and we've laughed about it since then, right?
Right.
But it's really important to our family that we're not disparaged in any way, nor are you.
Right.
Not what in any way, ma'am?
Disparaged.
That you or us, either one, is disparaged in any way.
What is disparaged? What do you mean by disparaged?
Talked crap about.
Talking about you, the creepers on the YouTube, putting you down, and I mean, we need to bring credibility to this case.
Right.
Okay, so we haven't participated in any of that. We're starting to hear a lot of rumblings about it, but we haven't responded to it. And
well, the person in the chat room said that you told them that I have not found anything for you guys in weeks, and that you're not happy with my services. So you're telling me right now, unequivocally...
I have not said that to a living soul.
Unequivocally, I can read you verbatim what I said, that you were hired on the they sent me a message on Facebook and I responded to it, and
who's they, ma'am? I don't know who they is. That's a great question.
We don't even...
You don't see that. What's their name on Facebook?
Hold on, I'll have to look, because they're not friends of mine. They're not people that I know.
Well,
Shelly, her name is... Her name is Shelly Michaels, but she doesn't spell it like regular Shelly. It's SHELLEIGH Michaels.
And who is Shelley Michaels?
I have absolutely no idea. It was.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What did Shelley Michaels say to you and how did she reach the aunt?
I'm trying to get to it. It's on a post.
Go ahead.
It's on a post on my one of the public posts that I made about Alex. On the 42nd, because we're on day 75 now. This was on day 42 that it was a post, and there were several comments.
That was a long time ago.
Right. Well, a day ago, let's see, Shelley made her comment, Shelley and Maria K. But Maria K., and she spells it with 2 Y's, was just talking about different YouTube channels I could get in touch with to get,
in touch with about what? For your
she said
relative, for him, for Alex, or for
no, for Alex. This is specific. So Maria K said, have you thought about contacting true crime YouTube channels with the story? Would be great if someone from the family could do an interview. It helps get the word out. I was like, that'd be great. And so she sent me this big long list of things. Then right after that, and I didn't even see it till the next day, somebody named Shelley Michaels says, I'm so sorry for what you're going through. A man named James Terry said on YouTube tonight that you had hired him to work as a private investigator. Please be careful. This man is not licensed or insured, is not a licensed or insured private investigator, and instead has a criminal history of theft and fraud. I would hate to see him bring more chaos and heartbreak to yet another family already suffering the unimaginable. And attached to the YouTube video where you were Mr. Loose, whatever that whole mask.
About with the mask on the cease and desist order.
Yes, and I didn't even watch.
I don't know who that guy Loose Gun is, but he's been on a lot of shows.
Yeah,
I'm very aware of him.
Yes. Well, y'all must have grown up somewhere close to one another because y'all's accents favor each. But anyway, I didn't even watch that whole YouTube thing because I'm not.
I think it's my brother, but I'm not 100% sure. But go ahead.
Yeah, but anyway, so that was it. So of course, read all that. The part that got me, and I'm going to be completely upfront and honest about this. We chose you. You went through the whole thing, but we chose you. And I will say this on my personal, because, my dad is a private investigator, and he's a private, and I understand the whole Mississippi doesn't require a secondary, you don't have to have a special license. You have a business license. That's how my dad has done it for 20 years, process server. I understand the ins and outs of that.
We went over that before you hired me, too, by the way.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That part, a PI is a PI in Mississippi. And I liked you because you're not afraid to ask the tough questions. You don't take no for an answer. You're a bulldog. And I like that. I can deal with the crassness. I can deal with the vulgar language. I've been known to use words like that from time to time. But my biggest thing was, Jim, you told me you can't effectively be a PI working multiple cases at a time. I work one case at a time, and that's it.
Multiple cases, that's correct.
The part where I got real in my feelings and real upset was whatever his name is, not Dalton, whoever the Utah kid is. He's on Fox.
The Utah kid's name is Dylan
something.
Rounds.
Yeah. Well, he was in People Magazine. He was in Fox on Fox News. He's got all this coverage. Well, Jim, that's the same time frame that my kid's missing. So you were working more than one case at a time, and I got in my feelings about it.
Do you want to tackle the media that he's gotten, or do you want to tackle handling more than one case at a time?
What I want to tackle is I need to hear from you that if you're going to get 4,500, you've already gotten 3,000. You want another 1,500. We agreed to the price up front. That's fine, whatnot. But I need to know that you're focused. I need to know, and you keep doing your YouTubes, keep doing all that shit, because God knows we will ride those coattails, because if that's what it takes to get Alex's name out, fine. I'm good with it, but I need to know I've got your focus. I need to know I've got 100% of you.
Well, first of all, in order to do that, when I call you guys, I need to hear from you longer than gaps in 5 or 6 days. I haven't heard from you since Thursday, correct? The last call that we had, I reached out to you guys. You guys have not tried to reach me since, right?
No, because you
Anybody with a family.
Right, but
We will, but when we...
You're calling me back. Now, you don't have to cold call me. And here's the thing, and I know what I'm going to get right now.
Yeah.
Well, I have my grandchild here. We had a party, and I got a birthday, and I got a cousin.
No.
Hold on. I let you guys talk. Let me respond to your questions because and your concerns because they're valid. And I think we're getting somewhere here on this. But guys, like I told you, you can't make omelets without breaking eggs.
Right.
You just need the right guy to break them. So let me explain how this works. So I have called you 4 times since we last spoke. Now, I know you have lies. I'm sympathetic to what you're dealing with, but you got to be sympathetic to me. If I'm guilty of one thing, and this is the part that's going to help you, whether people like me or not, whether people listen, not one person is of that Mikey J and Sarah S and True Crime Patty and whoever these morons are, okay, that are reaching out to the family, proves that what I'm doing is working. It proves that what I'm doing is working because these people who are calling you from parts outside your state and outside your country didn't even know who the hell Alex Easterling was 3 weeks ago. Exactly. So it's almost like I know what I'm doing. Yeah. So Dylan Rounds' story, why is he getting the press that you're not? A 19-year-old kid who owned a 600-acre farm in the desert at 19. A kid whose boots were found in the desert with an extremely affluent Mormon family in Idaho. A kid that had never been arrested. A kid that never had drank, had never done drugs. By the way, the private investigator finds out for his grandparents on a silent case that he was gay and with another guy, which is huge because the guy was 60 and a convicted felon, and his family of sex offenders in a town that we didn't even... You think Holmes County's bad? Try going to Montello in Elk County, Nevada. Yeah. So what is that case? Okay, hold on. We're going to get through this because I let you go on, and I'm going to explain to you what we're doing.
I know there's 50 people there. Right.
So the reason that case is getting what yours isn't, you can answer. You see why that is.
Yeah.
We're talking about a kid who went to a drug dealer's house, and this is why I'm having problems with the cops there. We're talking about a very poor county. A white kid who was out of jail, 12 hours? He gets dropped off over a known drug dealer's house, and he's never seen again. Okay? That's a hell of a lot less in Mississippi with a family that doesn't own cattle ranches or trucking companies and has a private investigator that runs people the wrong way. So the problem here is the story is, and this kid's 19 years old and he's in the desert. It's terrifying. Your story is a dime a dozen, which is what we're trying to separate. This kid's story is in People magazine and all that. So when the family called me, after, I believe, maybe right around the same time, I had to make an executive decision. Yeah. The money was good, but I knew I could help your case if I was never going to Nevada. I'm not a PI in Nevada. I was never going to Utah. They hired me out of Idaho. And the grandparents hired me to look into this and make some phone calls. That's it. To go out there, not to work 2 cases at a time, I took the money. If there's anything I'm guilty of, it's taking their money while I was actively working on your case. But I saw that rocket ship. And I saw the viewership, and I saw the press, which you have too now, and I says, what if I could drag Easterling with it? The problem is I called you guys about this, and nobody picks up their phone. Nobody returns a phone call. Nobody has gotten in touch with me. Now, I assume that reason, with all due respect, and it's not me wanting money. We agreed on a price, and the text message you sent me said, I've got to move some money around, give me a few days. I never even brought it up for several weeks. Yeah. Most PIs wouldn't even start until they're fully paid, or they would do it hourly. That's not a problem. I know you guys got bigger fish to fry. You explained the attorneys and the whole 9 yards, which, by the way, I had an attorney there that said they'd handle your case for nothing. But you didn't call me on Thursday or Friday. I assumed you didn't have the money or you had cold feet. And the reason I haven't heard from you in the last 4 days is because you thought I was going to pepper you about money. It was to get you on these radio shows. Nobody picked up the phone. The character in the story for you guys is not going to be me. It's going to be your fucking father. That guy's a fucking home run. A home run. He's local. And I don't care if he wants people knowing he was a biker or he wasn't a biker or this and that. The bottom line is that guy's a fucking home run. I had to be the mouthpiece in that case because the mother was a whack job. So what I've done is I started going out on these radio shows and working Easterling into the case. Working Easterling into these radio shows. Now I got a shitload of them that were like, well, this guy's pretty entertaining. He's putting on masks. He's doing all this bullshit. Maybe the next case will be just as interesting. And that's where we're at today. Right. The problem is you got a county there that doesn't even have computers. So that's where we're at. So if Sleuth Mom or PI Daddy calls you and doesn't like what I'm doing, you've got to make a decision right now. If you want to back out from me, that's your decision. I have nothing bad to say for you guys. I wish I would have got you more. But to question why I'm working on 2 cases like it was fraudulent or I deceived you is only because none of you have picked up your phones and you don't understand what I'm doing, and we could have that conversation. So if I was you, I would thank the fact that I was on that case, because it's the only way you're going to get press, and whether it's good press or bad press, it's going to come out because it's not a good press story. This isn't a good press story. You know what I mean? And that's all I want to say about that. Does that make any sense to you guys?
It does. And that was kind of my catch-22 was, do we ride the coattails on all this publicity and
your
things?
Call. If you do, you owe me money. But if you don't, you can back out right now. That's your call.
But 2, the last conversation, and I have to clarify this with you because I don't, again, you stay busy just like the rest of us, but I haven't had any distractions this weekend.
Last conversation from you since our last conversation.
Right, because the last conversation we had on Thursday.
I called you last night. You didn't pick up last night.
I was not awake at 10:30 last night, and you called me at 8 this morning, and I called you back just as quick as I could. So I've actually only had 2 missed phone calls from you. The last conversation we had on Thursday, not that this really matters, but just for the sake of clarification, was you were waiting on a phone call back from a 17-year veteran from the Yazoo Sheriff's Department, somebody whose last name started with an S. I said, okay, well, I'll be up till at least midnight, so once you've talked to him, call me back, and we'll go from there. I haven't heard from you since then. So that's kind of where we are.
You got me now.
I got you now.
You got me now, and you know where we're at. My phone is on 24/7. 24/7.
Right.
And I'm not going to get in. I was supposed to call you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just for the sake of clarification, we are where we are.
You've received 2 phone calls from me. Whether you were sleeping or you didn't know, you were also, just so we could get this out there now, supposed to explain to me what you were going to do with the balance. Right. I haven't heard from you about that either. I'm not going to chase you because now it looks like I'm chasing you for money, and I'm not doing that. So if you don't take the calls or you don't, listen, there's a shitload of people on these phone calls sometimes when I talk to you. I've never get calls from anybody else. Where's the grandfather? Why won't he call me? He could call me anytime he wants, unless he just doesn't like me, which I would understand. You know, anybody in your family can call me 24/7 for an update. It doesn't have to be the mother, as long as you're okay with those people calling me.
I didn't know that because the very first conversation we had together, you said you weren't going to talk to anybody else but one person because you weren't going to take calls from the brother and the mother and the whatever because you didn't work like that.
So they always
don't work like that. But if you're putting and I understand that, and now you're starting to irritate me a little bit. I'm going to tell you why. Because you're trying to play semantics with me. If you're putting these people on phone calls with me. If the grandfather and your sister are on phone calls with me almost every time, like they are now, then I'm not stupid. Don't treat me like I'm dumb. I'm gonna probably understand that they're involved enough where they could call me. What I don't want is Sleuth Mom calling me. What I don't want is your son's baby mama calling me saying, hey, did you look at this drug dealer? And I had a couple of those at the beginning.
And they don't.
If the family wants to call me, I'm not going to be mean and disrespectful. If they want to call me, if somebody calls me and says, hey, I'm with the mother right now, say, hold on, let me call you back. I'd call you. Do you know who this lady is? Yeah, you can talk to her. Then I would. I don't want people calling me with theories to look under some boxcar. Well, it's very self. If you've got the people on the phone call, why would you think I wouldn't talk to them in the future privately? I don't get that.
When we tried to call you back the night that we couldn't get you on the line,
you couldn't get me on the line?
No, we called multiple times. It was a night that we were scheduled to talk.
When was that?
I had my mother call. It was the next day.
I don't know how far my phone goes back on calls,
but he was arrested with. It was the next night. I mean, I can pull up. I'm not.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said you guys tried to get a hold. Your mother tried to get a hold of me. I'm sorry.
We did.
When?
We did.
What day was that?
Hold on. I'm looking.
After we all talked together.
6:20.
I have it written down, but
the last phone call we had was with the dog guy.
6:23.
Say anything except where do we go from here? I mean, what is?
Where do we go from here?
I think continuing to put all of our eggs in one basket in the cornfield might not get us all we're looking for.
Well, that's your choice. And if you want to go...
I know you said you don't want to show all your cards to the others before we have something a little bit more, but honestly, where do you think we go from here?
You've got two options. You've got the which we're on their ass. We've got this video camcorder thing bullshit at this house. We've got people in the community, and we've got press, and we've got the possibility of this cornfield guy, which, by the way, I'm finding out now it wasn't a cornfield. That's wrong, too. So here's the deal. Where do we go from here? You've got to make a decision in the next hour. You could call me back. Either I'm your guy for this, or I'm not. If I am not your guy for this, then we go our separate ways and I won't bug you again. If you called me 6 months from now and said, hey, let's continue to this, I would. I'd have no hard feelings. Now, where this will become an issue is if you don't want to work with me anymore, which I would understand and be respectful, and you start going on radio shows and talking to sleuth people on Facebook and start bad-mouthing me because of semantics or whatever, well, then I've got to do what I've got to do. I don't think you're those type of people. So the one thing that we have here is the press that you guys gave me was garbage. I've already got more press for him and got his name out there to a larger degree because you're going to need help from outside the area. There's no doubt about it. Your local cops, I'm sure you've seen, ain't going to help you. They're not going to do much for you. So you need help from outside the area. So while you believe I'm putting all my eggs in one basket, the three things that we have is surveillance footage camera system that was at that house. We still, and that's in the Mississippi. Now, you guys supposedly had this guy and that guy, and the news lady had somebody. I understand now I've got to do everything 100% myself because these people that call me, and I don't mean you, these radio people, news people, they don't have shit. I got people in the fucking government. No, you don't. No, you're a lady with a video camera in her basement. So I realize now that the only guy that was credible was the two people that called me, which is the lady that first got the camera system and the guy that you put me in contact with. And I don't have my notes in front of me. What was his name again?
He was with the
Tony says where it is now. Tony's supposed to get back to me. We're going to call Tony today, too, because Tony's going to see if he couldn't chase that down and get that back.
Right.
And see if we can. Okay, so there's your first avenue. Which, by the way, call Tony. I don't have to call him every day. If you guys want him to, he seems like he gets back to you quicker, but I'll continue to try to get a hold of him. Number two, what else do we have? We have the fact that the Dylan Rounds case has created me to be hot, whether it's a good guy or a bad guy. My analytics jumps up 20% when I'm on YouTube. Any channel I go on jumps 20% by mentioning my name. It's not braggadocious. I don't even know what that means. What I know that means, to a small degree, is people are listening to me, and good or bad, it creates a buzz.
Yeah.
Which you don't have. The third thing that we have here is we've got a kid who died in a field of a fentanyl overdose, and the woman he was with that they thought was dead lived. And her story, which was turned over to your sheriff's department, was the exact story that probably happened to your son. And not only can we not find her, nobody's questioned her, nobody's had her talk to the family, and the sheriff's department that dealt with that case doesn't have computers, which is what I just called you to tell you about today.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, you guys, with all due respect, have a PI in your family. You can go around and chase whatever other ghosts you want to. It has nothing to do with me. I'm going to conduct this the way I know how to conduct it, and if it's not going fast enough or you don't like the direction or if it feels complacent, you guys have the ability to go do whatever else you want. But what I'm telling you are those are the three things I'm focused on. And I think by creating these characters on YouTube, it will give me a platform to get your son's name out there so a legitimate news station does. Yeah. I'm going to tell you right now, and the last thing I'm going to say, People Magazine, Dateline, all that shit is never going to cover your son's case unless there's something else attached to it. Right. Corrupt sheriff's department, a major terror ring, a biker gang. It's a kid that goes and overdoses at a black kid's house in the cheapest, nastiest county in the state of Mississippi, who's white. The only thing about this story that's interesting is the mom's ability to find his metadata and the fact that she dropped him off over there. And to be honest with you, 50% of the people check out right then and there. You need a character. You need somebody. And I think the grandfather is the character once I can turn people over to him so I can do the real shit behind closed doors. That's our focus. That's my game plan. If that doesn't work for you guys, talk it over as a family. Let me know. Cut your losses, and we'll all move our separate ways. It's your decision, and there's probably no wrong one. So that's your call. But you do owe me money. You do owe me the balance of the pay, and I'm sympathetic to that. But my phone is on 24/7, 7 days a week, and I take every call. That's our game plan. If you have a better game plan, you're more than welcome to do whatever you want. We'll see who gets there first. That's where we're at, guys.
I'm thinking. Well, here
you don't have to give me an answer now.
Well, no, and oh no, obviously not with that. But I'm thinking too is I always roll back to the basics, because every time you've got a missing person, they say focus on the facts. The facts are D. Edward Anderson, also known as Chucky, Antony Anderson, who is the Muscle brother, Dalton,
the guy, yep.
Right, Dalton Householder, who is a long-term, and I use the term loosely, friend of Alex's, and Nicholas Murda, who is a longtime acquaintance of Alex too. Those are the four main characters in this whole story. We have a valid proof that phone conversations were had, that they were there and part of the story. None of those four people have been formally questioned.
By police, you're talking
by
about.
Police.
I've questioned a lot of the people on that list, even
right.
the ones the cops couldn't reach.
Right.
Yeah, by police. But
by police.
actually, one of them has been questioned now by
Dalton.
police.
Partially.
No,
But
Nicholas.
the police never pulled
Nicholas the other day.
Yeah, they never pulled their valid phone records. They pulled their phone records from like 10 o'clock that night rather than from 5. I mean, the police they haven't done their due diligence, their basic due diligence.
I understand.
So, that part of it.
If that's the angle of the story, I hate to tear anybody down, but we just don't have any action on this case. And I guess because it's not sexy, it's not whatever.
You're not talking about, hold on a second. When you say you don't have any action, and by the way, you never told me what you replied to that lady. The women that on YouTube, Facebook that messaged you, you told me what they said. What did you say back to them?
That I read back that I hired you on the 31st, that it was $4,500. I still owed you $1,500, and that the last time I spoke to you was on Thursday, and evidently, that was the day that everything blew up with that other case, and I just feel like I got tossed to the side with it.
So why would you tell people our financial agreement on Facebook with people you don't know? Why would you do that? Why would you feel comfortable enough to do that with them?
Because she put numbers. She was like, and he charges up to $2,700. I said, no, it was $4,500 that we paid him. But she didn't.
What did she say I charged?
Something between $1,300 and $2,700.
I've seen figures. I don't know these people. Did this lady? Is this lady a former client?
I don't have any idea who she is, and that was the only conversation.
Telling you what you paid,
right?
She did.
Well, and my whole thing was that was the only conversation that we had, and my issue, like I stated when we first started, my issue, and the only one I've had so far, I don't give a damn about crassness. I don't give a damn who you rub wrong. I don't care how many talk shows you go on and say whatever gets the ball rolling. I don't give a damn.
Go ahead.
But it's the fact that you told me you only work on one case at a time, and this actually hit me on Thursday, the last time that we spoke, that you, in a roundabout way, I found out, oh shit, you've been working on this other case and not ours, and that's and that was before any of this other stuff came up.
I know you're using that as a catch here because it sounds good and it's the only argument to make me look somewhat whatever those people are.
I'm not trying to make you look any kind of way.
You kind of are, because you don't understand why I did it. You don't understand the fact, like you.
No, I do now. I do now.
You know that he's on Dateline and
right.
People Magazine.
But listen to me.
Yeah.
But Jim, I do understand it. Right.
You guys, if you knew that I was looking at another case, why didn't you call me and say, hey, well, who's Dylan Rounds?
I didn't know about it until the Thursday that we spoke.
Until the lady called you and you spilled your guts to her on Facebook.
No, Jim. I found out about Dylan Rounds on Thursday when you told me. You said it to me on Thursday, 6:30.
When did the family release me?
I don't have any idea. I didn't even know.
Deal with me anymore?
I have no idea. According to that masked video.
So it wasn't like I've been working on two cases the entire time. You're talking. And when did you hire me? What day again?
May 31st.
May 31st. May, June. So that's been how long now? How many days is that? You guys got better
May
math than me.
31st to June 30th is 30 days.
Yeah, so we're looking at almost 40 days. Do you know how many days I worked on the case? Do you know how many days I worked on Dylan Rounds?
I don't, and it does, that part doesn't matter.
Hold on. 8 days. So if you're worried about 8 days that I was working on something else that will give you the next year's worth of press, then I can't give sight to the blind. I don't know how to make you understand that.
Hence the reason we're having. Oh my God! It's like you like to hear yourself.
The only reason I took that case, and especially now the reason I keep harping on it, is it's going to help you, which is why his name was mentioned, and is why you're getting contacted.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Make sense?
It does. Hence the reason we're having.
We're having the conversation now, but spilling your guts to some lady who, by the way, does not have your best. By the way, I tried to go to some cases. I tried to go to some of these channels with your son's case before Dylan Rounds, and they wouldn't touch me. They wouldn't touch me. Now they all want to touch me, and they want to. So if I go on shows that like me, and just stay with me for 30 more seconds, and then I'm done, because I can't handle this no more. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go on these shows. You're going to make a decision here in the next hour what that's going to be. Talk about it amongst the family. I'm not going to wait for you to call me. You got an hour, okay? Call me back. Let me know what you want to do. I've got shows I could go on in the next 2 minutes. Let me go and get the story out there. Let me show this kid's fucking face. By the way, there has got to be a better picture of him out there than the one that's on that black. He looks like a thug in that photo on that black flyer. I don't know who the fuck is circulating. I mean, he looks rough. And there are such good-looking pictures of that kid. Well, I was going to get to that later. But we got it. There's a black thing that's circulating on the internet. So every time I mention him on one of these shows, this flyer of him pops up. And it's in red and black, and he's on the right side, and he's kind of smiling. Do you know what that is?
I have literally hundreds of pictures of him, Jim, so I'll let you pick and choose.
That's a picture of him, but it's a flyer somebody made, which is the main one that circles around. Some website, I think, made it of him, and it looks terrible. I want a picture of the mom and the kid together, smiling, because the mom's as much of a story, or the mom, the kid, the family, and him. I don't just want that face, because his face on those flyers looks druggish. It's not good. And I sent these to people. So if 50% of these YouTubers hate my fucking guts, you know what they're going to do? They're going to find out you stayed with me, and they're going to say, how can this family hire this guy? He's a con man, and he's this and he's that. You either ride the wave or you don't, but they're talking about it. The other half is going to put you on their shows. Help us. The other half is going to listen to your corruption stories and talk to the grandfather until I can push everybody out there so that now you get the press that you want. But I can't constantly be questioned about what I'm doing by people that aren't doing it. I'm doing it. So I don't know who these people are, but your first mistake was talking to them in any sort. And I don't care if you told them how tall I am, what color my eyes are. You record this phone call and play it for one of those assholes. I don't give a fuck. There's no such thing as bad press. But what I'm telling you is, you got to let me know that you're going to do it so I'm prepared. And I can give you my best estimation as to who these people are. I would not have wanted...
Asking. I love what you just said. You got to let me know so I'm prepared. I love...
Well, yeah, but you guys...
I love that.
You got to be a little... And I don't know how else to say this. I'm used to locker rooms. And I think you two broads can handle this, okay? And when I say stuff like that, people... There was a lady I went on a show the other day. And we had this conversation. And it was getting towards your son. And they said, but Jim, you could be so good at this if you just didn't talk that way. And I said, if I didn't talk this way, you wouldn't have me on the show to prove how good I could be. I've been in business at this for 5 years. Ask your dad the types of fucking animals that are, look at the shit you guys are going through. That's a Tuesday for me. Most people you have one of these in your lives. Now, while I can't understand any degree of what you guys are going through, I would never say, I understand it. I don't have kids, okay? I've never had anybody, I had a cousin get murdered. I've never had anybody be murdered really in my family. None of that shit, right? I can't understand what you guys are going through. So there's a level of coarseness that I have that I think helps me. I'm not emotionally invested in your son. I'm not. I wouldn't lie to families and tell them that. It may sound crass, but at least it's honest. You guys have that emotion, okay? So without having that emotion, that attachment, I never met the kid. I see what other people see on paper, but I'm trying to change that. So by not having that sort of, but you know what I do have that you guys don't have? 5 years worth of these phone calls. 5 years. And then after you find somebody, let me give you an example. A mother went on a show the other day with a phone. I read her fucking crackhead boyfriend out. I had a case, and we found the kid. Me and the police in Los Angeles found the kid. Never left my couch. We found the kid under a bridge. The mother had a sponsor. The mother went on the radio shows recently. She had a sponsor a year ago that paid me the fees to look for her son. When her son was found by a police officer that I had been talking to with a girl that I knew he left with, he was under a bridge doing heroin or whatever in Los Angeles. He ran away from Texas or Oklahoma, depending on who he was living with at the time, his dad or his mom. His mom and her boyfriend, who were drug addicts, did not pay me. They had a church lady pay me. We found the kid. The detective went up to the kid and he says, do you know who Jim Terry is? No. He ran away from one of these inpatient halfway houses, like we talked that your son could possibly be in, if he was alive. And he said, no, I don't know who Jim Terry is. He goes, do you know who your mom is? He gave her name, your dad. Yes. Do you know you're a missing person? Yeah. You know that. Well, I don't want to leave. I want to stay under this bridge. I want to stay with her. I want to do this. I called the family back, and I said, they found your son. Where is he? He's under this bridge right there. Well, what do you mean you found him? I said, the cops just called me. They just talked to him. They go, put him on the phone with us. I says, man, he don't want to talk to you. He wants nothing to do. He hates you. Fucking hates you. Your rendition of your motherly lifestyle with this kid is not what he's saying it is. He hates you. Doesn't like his father much. Rather stay under a bridge and do heroin. He's an adult. He's found. He's not dead. He's not sex trafficked. He's not in the woods. He's not buried in the desert. He's under a bridge doing drugs with some whore he met in his halfway house or his rehabilitation center. I says, birds of a feather. He found somebody out there and he doesn't want to come back to Oklahoma. He'd rather stay in San Diego. So I don't hear back from her. Now I call the grandfather, who reminds me a lot of your grandfather. He was an oil worker. And he was the one that actually was going to front the money until the sponsor paid. And I told him, I said, sir, listen, I don't know how to tell you this. He ain't coming home. So how this ends up, and it reminds me a little bit of this case, is the mother is pissed. 4 or 5 days later, she calls me back. She goes, that's it? And I says, what do you mean that's it? She goes, I want a refund. I says, why? She goes, because you weren't the one that found my son. The cops were. I said, ma'am, the cops were looking for your son because I talked to him. And I found the woman he was with. She goes, I want the money sent back or I'm going to go on the internet and badmouth you. I said, you're not getting the money back, but I'll tell you what. I'll call the church lady that sent me the money. If she doesn't think I've done my job, and you can hear that in the call that's out there, then I'll go ahead and I'll refund the money. Good. Here's where you send it to. I said, oh, no. I'm not sending it to. They were cracking out themselves. They were drug addicts. They wanted it, and I think it was $3,000 or whatever. They wanted it. I says, well, no. If you don't think I did my job, I'll send it back to the lady that paid me. I called the lady, and you know what she said? What did her son say? Doesn't want anything to do with her. They found him? Yeah. Keep the money. You did what you were paid for. Those people were dope fiends. They're going on every YouTube channel that doesn't like me. They won't come on with me, and they're telling that story, and they're playing an audio tape where I said, if you want your son, he's under that bridge as we speak. Get in your car, go out there and see him. I told you where he is. He's not dead. You know what she said? We don't have a car that'll make it that far. Done. I'm done. I'm sorry. Now she's going to go on YouTube and badmouth me. Those are the type of situations I'm dealing with. So why you don't understand, well, I don't understand what you're going through, and I can never even understand, especially your case, which is way different than anybody else's. Nobody, unless they're in this industry, can understand what I go through on a daily basis. And this is just part of it. So we've spent 3 hours talking about YouTube people and Facebook people that are trying to get you to badmouth me so they could put it on their stations. And you fell for it. Now they know what you paid. Now they know that you still owe me. And they're probably hoping that we have a fight and you come on their station and badmouth me because it won't get you any further and it won't give me a chance to solve this. So that's where we're at.
Well, here's just for sake of clarification. Other people, and I've been this way my entire life, and this is Ashley, other people don't make my decisions for me. Other people don't make me make my mind up on whether or not I like somebody, I don't like somebody. I don't base my decisions on rumors or other people's feelings. And being that I've never been in the situation that my own flesh and blood son was missing, I'm damn sure not going to start valuing other people's opinions above my own. outside. Other people don't make my decisions. My decisions based on my conversations, my one-on-one conversations with you. And all of what you said were things that I've thought of before. You know, either you weren't focused on it, or, holy shit, look at the press that he's got. How amazing will it be if we can ride the coattails?
Oh, that's my goal. That's so my fucking goal. But if you go around telling people that now, we ain't going to be able to get it. The curtain has been pulled back.
Right. There,
so
and
that's your
there's,
decision.
again, and are there emails that I got that I didn't even read all the way of people asking me for interviews? Unless I'm not doing interviews about Jim Terry. I'm on interviews about Alex Easterling.
People want to interview you about me, but not your son.
Right. So no, that in itself, I'm not going to finish reading an email because it's not about Jim Terry right now. It's about finding my son Alex. If Jim Terry happens to be the one who gets me there, wow, and fantastic. But I'm not gonna sit and spend time nor energy that I have no extra of either of those two things on battling another front, which is not getting me again any closer to finding my son. So I'm not interested in all that.
We're on the same page with that.
Right.
So here's where we're at. You guys talk it over with your father. Let me know what you want to do. We'll do it. I'm here. If you don't think I wouldn't be offended. But isn't it interesting that wait till you guys, if you made a stand and you go on these shows, and I wouldn't do it until after we speak with the girl. We got to find this other girl. And you go on these shows and you compliment me, you're going to get a shitload of hate. You're also going to get a shitload of press. I'm just giving you a heads up.
Yeah.
And you seem to know that now.
Yeah. And the hate part of it, I mean, I don't know how they could hate me because I'm utilizing whatever. If they, I can flip that right back around. Well, you know who I am. You know why I have Jim Terry on my side. Why don't you, instead of taking all your time and energy and bashing him, why don't you spin that around and help me find my son? I mean, I have no problem in doing that because
well, it's not that they're going to hate you for looking for your son. They're going to tear you apart for working with me. You got to understand, any credibility I have out there is not out there by these people. For example, I put a story out there the other day that was in the news of a girl that I found just a while ago. And I just said I've never really posted on Facebook to these things. I've talked to people, but argued with them. So I posted it. There was 50 different posts under it. Say, so what? You found her. Look at all the people you've destroyed. Destroyed. You can't win with these people. Yeah. But you got an hour. Give me a call. Let me know. Talk it amongst yourselves. Listen, I'll continue the the Yazoo County thing as far as it goes. If you don't want to work with me anymore, I'll understand and I'll take you as far as I can with them. But I am telling you that the only person, I'm not saying for sure, but I'm telling you the only person that may be able to tell us and give us an idea of what your son went through is the one person that didn't go down with the Titanic. And that's that fucking bitch whose story we can't find. And you know what, guys? I'm not stupid. They know exactly in that office who I'm talking about. Right. It's funny how I'm getting stalled. There's no way you can tell me the story that 3 other police departments know about almost verbatim with the exception of the name. The county that he was arrested, or she was taken into, doesn't know. They're the only ones that don't know what I'm talking about. It's in a filing cabinet. Wow, what a great way to put somebody off. And you know what else it sounds like? Well, we've got it in the Mississippi Bureau of Investigation's a video camera. We'll let you know how it comes. Everything in this case that leads to what happened to your son, to any sort of a small detail, gets put into a grinder. It's all red tape, and I don't understand why, but we'll get there.
Okay, before we go, can I just tell you one thing? I want to make sure that you know this. Remember the call we made to the woman with the older husband and all that? Remember all that? And they had his phone from the night that he had...
Yes. The guy that took the nudies of her that were disgusting.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So that next day, the grandfather and the mother, Ashley, went up to that phone store where they said his phone was.
This is when it gets broken into, right? They steal 100 phones out of there?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
So as it turns out now, the people that originally had the phone, her brother's been promoted to the police chief of the town.
Interesting.
And her cousin, her first cousin, is the one, you mentioned his name the other night, I think, was the one that was there when somebody got the phone call.
Yeah.
Well, my thing is, when is it that we're going to get information from those boys that were his age that probably know what happened? How are we going to get that?
I don't, ma'am, to be honest with you, okay, and this is what I'm trying to create, I don't know that we ever will. I think anybody who would have come to you that knew anything would have done it already. Now, I could be wrong. So what I need, new people, new blood. The one thing I know I'll be able to do is destroy that house. That sheriff's department, if it is what we think it is at that place, will not be the same once I start talking. It just won't be. It's going to go away. It's going to get swallowed, and we're going to cut the head off of the snake. And then once it's not making money anymore, well, then we'll see how long they last. They are protected.
Yes, they are. And I think you were right on about those cameras not being theirs.
Oh, no, they were. I said that to you. Yeah, they were definitely there for people to watch them. It's, you know what? They're employees, guys. They're employees, and it's Walmart. They put cameras in their checkout lane. That's it.
And the same set of cameras is located at the brother's house. A couple of days after all of this went down, the brother was out landscaping his yard, and I looked closely, and you can see the same type camera system wired, same types, at his brother's house too.
Yeah.
We got to make your son's case, at least on YouTube, which I could do the next Dylan Rounds. And it's not going to be that in the national press, but it could be that in the local press and on YouTube, and I can do that. And that might lead somebody to say, hey, listen, I used to own property next to these guys, or I dropped my son off there, and here's what happened. If I can get that girl, I could get that girl to go on these shows with me. I could record calls and have them played. Guys, I know what I'm doing. Unfortunately, I've got to go through all these weeds just to get to my parked car every day. And it's very taxing. We've spent an hour and a half on the phone talking about payments, YouTube celebrities, YouTube stars, and what I'm doing. At some point, I've got to be able to do what I'm doing. Listen, there's a possibility you may never find out where your son's body is, but there's a better chance that you'll find out exactly what happened to him and destroy the place that did it for it. I just need to let you guys know what happened. There may not be anything. I mean, what did that fucking guy talk about? Alligators. How the fuck am I going to figure that out? You can't do that. But if I know where they went, if I got people that corroborate it, we've got two people or one person the cops have never been able to interview, and I got him on the phone the first day. I know what I'm doing. I can do this, but I can't be questioned on every step with every person, everything that I say. You know what you got, and that's why you got to make the decision. Either you keep me or you don't, and it's up to you.
Call you back in an hour.